Hello, this is Ransom1690 back here with another video, and today I'm going to talk about how I was back then when I was working my first real job at Walmart versus how I am now. So when I was working at Walmart, I was completely naive as shit. I didn't know anything. I didn't know what to expect from people or what to look out for. And I was, when I say I was naive, I was really naive. And when I was working that job, my sole motivation for even trying to work was this. And so I thought that if I just kept reminding myself that that was what I was there for, was to get pieces of paper to buy shit with, then it would be something meaningful for me to do. It would be more than enough reason for me to stay working at that job. But I found out that as the months went on, that was not adequate enough motivation for me to stay working at that bullshit job where, as I've stated last video, no one gives a fuck about you. But I didn't know that at the time. And so I wound up meeting this real great employee there who started lacing me up on what the fuck was really going on. And he's told me, like, isn't there something else you want to do with your life? Like, because working here, working for a shitty company like this, it ain't it. And it got me thinking, maybe there is something else that I would be wanting to do with my life. And I wasn't an antinatalist then. I didn't even know what that was. I didn't even know, like, that wasn't even a category in my vocabulary. But the things this person was talking about was the same thing that a lot of antinatalists talk about in their videos, is that why are we here wasting our entire lives working for a shitty company that doesn't care about us, only to amass quantities of worthless pieces of paper that we've placed too much value on? And it makes no damn sense. I mean, it's a fucking piece of paper. You can rip it up. You can wipe it up your ass. Like I was saying last time, flush it down the toilet. Like, it's fucking worthless in the end. But just because someone placed all this value on it, now we're practically just jerking ourselves off to this shit. And that was my motivation for trying to stay at that job until this guy woke me up. So he wound up getting fired for a bullshit reason. And I stayed at the job. And as the months progressed, I'm sorry, y'all, I got fucking allergies. It's real damn annoying and shit. But as I stayed at that job and just saw how much bullshit it was that you had to go through, that you had to put up from the bosses and from other co-workers, man, I just really started to see that no, this wasn't it for me. And unfortunately, it wasn't anywhere else I could go, because even back then, jobs were hard enough to get as it already was. So I had to find another motivation to stay doing that bullshit so I didn't lose my fucking mind. So it's around that time where I started getting back into doing my art. and all of that good stuff. And that became my new motivation for staying working. Really, if it was up to me, I would rather not be working at all. I would rather just be staying to myself, working on my art type shit, you know. But unfortunately, that's not what society says you must do. You must go to work, and you must again acquire this stupid piece of paper, or else you're gonna be out on the street. And so that's another thing too. We place too much value on this to where we will throw one another under the bus just to get more of this. And that's all I saw all day long at Walmart. Just people gossiping, people talking about how they were gonna get this other person fired or how they were gonna step over this other dude. Like, that's all I fucking heard. Just real scummy ass bullshit that you don't want to be around. And so ever since going through all of that, on top of all of the things that I mentioned in my first antinatalist video, now I'm way less trusting of others. I question everything that people say. I don't care how nice they sound. I don't care how genuinely they sound about it. My first damn thought process is, what's the ulterior motive? Because no one is ever gonna just be that nice to you without getting something out of it, especially when this is involved. And so I'm way less trusting of people. I analyze everything. And now I'm less willing to budge on what my convictions are because I see just how worthless this life is and how worthless money is. And that goes back to what my workforce commission counselor was trying to say to me, that I should place my entire well-being, my happiness, my hobbies, the things that make me fulfilled in life, secondary to this and a fucking company that doesn't give a shit about me. And I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. I will not throw away what I want to do with my life for anyone else. And that's another thing that I would do back then. I would compromise for what someone else wants. And I'm just fucking done with all of that. Because at the end of the day, we are the only ones who have to live our own lives. And when you die, that's it. That is it. And what are you gonna have to think about when you die? Just how you spent your whole life jerking off to a worthless piece of fucking paper that doesn't mean any goddamn thing, that our society has placed too much fucking value on because that's what they said you should do. No thanks. I think I'm good there. Now, unfortunately, you gotta care about this piece of shit to some extent because that's how our government has it set up, that you need this shit to do anything, just basic necessities just to survive. Unfortunately, that can't be helped unless everyone gets together and says no to this shit. But, realistically, how many people is going to want to do that? There is people who think this is okay, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. So now I don't give a fuck what people say. I used to care about what others thought and getting approval or validation from others of what path I should take with my life. But now I'll make my own fucking decisions. If I don't feel like this is gonna lead to a point of fulfillment for me, then I don't care how much someone says I must do this. I'm not gonna fucking do it. I'm gonna do the bare fucking minimum that it takes to get me just enough so that I obviously don't wind out on the streets. And then I'm gonna do my own thing from then on. If it was up to me, I would rather not have to do this shit at all. But again, it's kind of hard to bail out in this society, in a society that says to do this, work for a fucking company, gain masses of piece of paper, or else, wind up homeless, starve to death, which is worse for suffering, right? But I think we should all be this way. We shouldn't place our value on this pathetic little thing, because at the end of the day, that's all it is. It's worthless. The only reason it has value, again, is because of the value that some asshole assigned to it that says that this is what we must value. And it's a lot of people who value this over another human life, over their own fellow individuals. You got people doing illegal shit. And by illegal, I mean selling people into trafficking. I'm not going to say the full word because I don't want fucking YouTube to start bullshitting around. But I think y'all get what I'm talking about. Like, you got people who will kill another person over money, like who would do some evil shit just because this is involved. And it shouldn't be that way. But unfortunately, that's the life that we're living in. And so when I was working at Walmart, I would try to do the same thing as place this worthless piece of paper as at the center of my life, of what I should be aspiring to, is just to have more money, only to find out that it brought no fulfillment in the end. And so now I don't see money valuable. Again, unfortunately, I need this piece of shit because that's the only way you can buy food from the grocery store unless you learn how to farm your own shit. And of course, the school district makes sure not to teach you any of that shit. They make sure not to teach you any of the necessary stuff to survive on your own, independent from this bullshit system. But again, I'm only gonna do enough just so I don't suffer greater. And from there on, I'm gonna do what the fuck else I wanna do. because I am not going to place my entire fulfillment, my reason for living, just on this bullshit piece of paper.